Hi everyone, welcome back to another session of Bhagavad Gita introductions. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are in the introduction. This is our sixth session for introduction. If you are following along and have a hardbound Bhagavad Gita as it is copy, then we are on page number 14. We will be covering page 14 and 15 today. Just to recap what we covered in our last session, we saw why was Bhagavad Gita spoken. Bhagavad Gita was spoken for us to understand what is the root of this body, and the root of the body we said is soul, and Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to nourish the soul. We discussed what is contaminated consciousness. Contaminated consciousness is I am the creator and I am the enjoyer. Reality is Krishna is the creator and Krishna is the enjoyer. We are cooperators. Bhagavad Gita helps us to understand how we can cooperate with the plan of the Lord that the Lord has for us and for others. We visited complete whole and we said everything that we see in this universe comes from Krishna and he is the complete whole. We saw Krishna is a person. We saw the example of the train, and we saw how there are three different levels in which we can understand Krishna or absolute truth. They are Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. We saw Vedic knowledge is infallible. We said there is no question of research when it comes to Vedic knowledge because Vedic knowledge is perfect. We will delve a little more on this topic today. And the agenda for today is we will describe the term apaurusheya. It's a Sanskrit term and we will unpack it and try to understand it a little bit more. Bhagavad Gita is meant for human beings. We will visit this statement and understand it better. Everything is temporary in the material world is another topic we will be visiting. And the last topic we will cover is Sanatana Dharma. Starting with prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord, and the spiritual energy of the Lord, kindly engage me in your service. I am not embarrassed with this material service. Please engage me in your service. The words spoken by the Lord are called apaurushaya, meaning free from any defect. And there are four major defects that are outlined here. And as we go through these four defects, we will see they are kind of separating a living entity from the Lord. The very first defect is a human being or a living entity is sure to commit mistakes. There is nobody in this world who can raise their hand and say, "Hey, I have not made a mistake ever." We all make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes and we move on in life. A living entity has imperfect senses. We all may have experience directly or may have heard about it. When we are walking in a desert, the rays of the sun are so starch that far off our senses, our eyes perceive water. And as we move closer to that, we understand it was just a reflection which the eyes perceived as water. In actuality, there is no water in the desert. So my senses are imperfect. And because I have imperfect senses, I come under illusion. What is illusion? In the desert, far off, I see water. Why? Because my senses perceive it like that, and I come under illusion. I walk towards that body of thinking, it is a body of water to quench my thirst. So, because a living entity has imperfect senses, the living entity can easily come under illusion. One of the biggest illusion we all are into is I am this body. Whereas on a theoretical level, we all know I'm not this body, but we operate on a day to day life as if we are this body. A living entity has a tendency to cheat. An example of this is we all have an opinion about certain things, and we try to convince others saying, "Hey, that's the right thing to do." It may be not the absolutely right thing to do, it may be our idea, and we want to profess that my idea is the best idea. The best idea is anyhow that which is coming from Krishna. Why? Because he is all perfect. He can never make a mistake. He has perfect senses. He can never come into illusion. And Krishna will never cheat us. So, if at any point in time we have to give any guidance to others, we must understand the principles of Bhagavad Gita, and our guidance should be on the basis of those principles. That is a perfect guidance because it is free from these four defects, and there is no possibility of Krishna becoming subjected to the laws of material nature. Bhagavad Gita is meant for humans. What does that mean? That means Bhagavad Gita is not meant for animals, which means if an animal kills another animal, he is not subjected to sin because human beings are given higher intelligence. If a human being cuts an animal and eats an animal to satisfy their own senses, then that is considered a sin and one has to bear the consequences of that sin. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live a life free of sin. There are three kinds of activities which are performed in three different modes. If you see this picture on the far right side of the slide, on the top is Krishna, and you see three different personalities as a second layer. Now, on the far left in this picture, in yellow is the personality of mode of goodness. Mode of goodness represents the qualities of happiness and satisfaction. In the middle, there is a personality in red. This is the mode of passion. It represents our material desires and our longing for certain things. At the far right of the picture is the personality of mode of ignorance. Ignorance is lethargy, sleep, madness. Those are the qualities of mode of ignorance. At the very bottom of this picture are the living entities. So, any kind of activity that we do is in one of these three modes. And the advice of Bhagavad Gita is try to elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness in every activity that we do in our day. Like our activities are in these three modes, our eatables, what we eat, are also in these three modes. So, food like milk, fruits, they are considered in the mode of goodness. Foods like which have a lot of preparations, which have a lot of salt, lot of chili, lot of ingredients of like which are a lot of kind of masalas. They are in the mode of passion, and stale food or meat is in the mode of ignorance. Everything is temporary in the material world. I found this statement very interesting and I will share with you as we move along. At the end of this slide, how to view this statement in a slightly different way. But first, we will see what it means when it says everything is temporary in the material world. In the material world, anything we observe, it comes into being. Let's say, for example, we ourselves, living entity, we are born into this material world, we come into being, we grow. If you see the picture, the child grows and then stays for some time, produces some byproducts. We have children, dwindles, our body starts to get old and vanishes. So anything you take in this material world undergoes these six transformation. Comes into being, grows, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles and vanishes. Another way of looking at this statement is there is a world which is not material. And in that world, there are things which are not temporary. And Bhagavad Gita is taking us to a tour of that world. This world we can see with our eyes, but a world that is not material or eternal or spiritual, we see it with the eyes of Bhagavad Gita. Eternal or Sanatana. So, this is another Sanskrit word we are exploring today, Sanatana, which means eternal, which means it does not have a beginning, it does not have an end. So, living entity we, the spirit soul, are Sanatana. Supreme Lord is Sanatana. And the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatana occupation. We all do activities today, and Bhagavad Gita is helping us how to choose activities which are more in line with our eternal nature. And one of the activities that we can all do to purify our existence or always be in the mode of goodness is chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like we all take shower every day to clean or purify our body. Chanting of the holy name is a process recommended in Bhagavad Gita to clean or purify our soul. Like we take bath every day, it is recommended that we take good care of our soul by chanting of this mantra every day. The recommended is you start with 108 times reciting this mantra. 108 times is it's a sacred number and it's recommended to start with 108. If you can chant even once or twice, that's a great start too. So coming to summary, what we discussed today is apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means perfect. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita coming from Krishna is perfect. It is free from four defects. The four defects are we make mistakes, our senses are imperfect. Due to imperfect senses, we come under illusion and we have a propensity to cheat. And Bhagavad Gita is free of these four defects because it is not spoken by any human being, it is spoken by God. Bhagavad Gita is meant for human beings. Bhagavad Gita is not meant for animals. Everything is temporary in the material world. We all go through six transformations, and Bhagavad Gita is giving us the information of a different world, which is spiritual world, where things are permanent, not temporary. And we are all eager to learn and understand that spiritual world. wanting to go there after this life. Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is our eternal nature. We touched on this today, and we will go into more detail in the Sanatana Dharma topic in our next session. What we saw today is living entity is eternal, the Supreme Lord is eternal, and Bhagavad Gita is meant to help us revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. That's all for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send your questions in the comment box. It was nice being with all of you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend and a week ahead. Hare Krishna.